Yo, what's going on, y'all? It's Cone back here again today with another video, and today we're talking Olympic hoops. That's right, men's Olympic basketball started today, very early in the morning here for me on the East Coast, and we had 4 games. We had Canada versus Greece, France versus Brazil, Germany versus Japan, and Australia versus Spain. And there were some really good games, some big-time performances from a lot of great NBA stars. It's been a lot of fun, so I want to go ahead and during this part of the offseason where not much is happening, cover some Olympic hoops. Now, I will say in these recap videos, I'm probably not going to have any or very little footage. The Olympics do not play around. Like, they will almost immediately copyright strike my channel if I use too many clips from the game. So just letting you know, I don't know how many highlights there are going to be. I'll try to fit some in, but there's just a chance when I upload, it tells me no until I take those out. So we'll see. Just if you're not seeing a lot of clips, that's why. And I won't be covering probably every single game. It'll depend what days of action are really good, but I do want to talk about it because it only happens every 4 years. So let's go and get into some of these games and some of the best action. And the best game of the day, in my opinion, was Canada versus Greece. Of course, it's headlined by Shai Gilgeous-Alexander versus Giannis Antetokounmpo, 2 top 5 players in the world, and both of them showed out in a game that really went down to the wire. Canada kept building up these leads. They'd be up like 8 or 10 or 12, but Greece just wouldn't go away, and that's because of Giannis. He didn't have a lot of help in this game beyond him, not a ton of scoring, although Papanicolaou, hopefully I pronounced that correctly. If I mispronounce any names in any of these Olympic videos, let me know because I want to get those right. He was out there sniping from deep. It felt like he couldn't really miss. I had 3 threes, but Giannis was clearly the leader for Greece. 34 points on 11 of 17 shooting, had a few rebounds, a few dimes. The defense was insane. I mean, he looked like Shaq out there. It was a lot of the stuff we saw from him last season where he kind of minimized the mid-range jumpers. He did take, I think, 1 3, at least one I can remember, and it was an air ball. He did take a couple of mid-range jumpers, but for the most part, it was just him spinning off guys on the block, dunking on everybody, putbacks. Giannis is a monster. I feel like too many people forget about Giannis when they talk about the best players in the world. Sure, he's going to come up, but people, I don't think, realize just how dominant Giannis is, and you saw it out here because, again, Greece didn't give him a lot of help, and yet they kept it really close against Canada, who has a number of NBA players, like Lou Dort playing some good defense, knocked down a couple of threes, Dylan Brooks. It feels like every time he plays for Team Canada, he's shooting like Klay Thompson. RJ Barrett had 23 points. He was really good in this game. If you're a Raptors fan that's looking for an RJ Barrett breakout, like, this is a game you definitely want to kind of hold on to. And then, of course, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander was playing really well, but it led to Greece being only down 2 with around a minute left, and Shai took over. Over the last 90 seconds to couple of minutes, Shai scored, I believe, 7 of the last 9 points for Team Canada, hit a step back 3, hit a floater over Giannis after splitting a double team. He was unstoppable. He was cooking out there, 5 of 10 shooting, 2 of 3 from deep, 21 points. Can't remember if I already mentioned that. With, I think, 5 rebounds, he had 7 dimes. Shai was incredible. And this is what you want to see from this Olympic setting. 2 of the best players in the world representing their countries in Shai and Giannis going head to head. It was an amazing game where Canada does come out on top, and that's big because they're kind of in the group of death between them and Australia and Spain and Greece. Like, those are 4 really good teams out there, so this is a big win for Canada, big loss for Greece. Canada next can play Australia, which is fun because it's Shai and Lou Dort playing Josh Giddey, their former teammate. But yeah, big win for them. Amazing to watch Shai and Giannis go head to head. 2 guys who I think, again, are pretty easily going to be top 4 in MVP conversations. And hey, me as a Thunder fan trying to push the Shai 2025 MVP agenda, this is a great game to build off of. Speaking of Australia, let's talk about their game versus Spain next, where they came out on top, 92-80. They grab a win for Australia. Josh Giddey had a big game in his Olympic debut, finished with 17 points, 8 rebounds. I believe he had 7 dimes as well, had 8 dimes actually. It was a big game. He was attacking downhill, being aggressive. He knocked down a couple of threes. You saw some confidence there, and that's what Bulls fans are hoping to see from Josh Giddey. I'll say last year he played really well in FIBA in the World Cup, and then that didn't exactly translate to the NBA last season for the Thunder, but now being in a different role with the Bulls and having the ball in his hand more, maybe this is the breakout season that people have been waiting for from Josh Giddey. So if you're a Bulls fan, that's a great sign. Patty Mills went insane, as he typically does in these international settings. 19 points, hit 3 threes. Dyson Daniels, 13 points, 3 of 4 from deep. If you're a Hawks fan, this is something to really look for because I really think he's got breakout potential. I mentioned him as my pick for a breakout candidate for the Hawks in the video I dropped a couple of days ago. I think big things are coming for him. And then Jacques Landale out there, 20 points, hit a 3, 9 of 14 shooting, 9 rebounds. He was really good. Australia is a really fun team. They've got a bunch of NBA talent. Josh Green was out there as well. Joe Ingles, Matthew Dellavedova. This is a squad that is kind of sneaky. They've got a tough defense. They've got some scores, especially when like Patty Mills is hitting. I'm excited to see them play Canada. Canada is the second-ranked team heading into this tournament. They're the second favorites, of course, behind the U.S. Australia, I think, is also up there at like 3 or 4, something like that. So that's going to be a big game, as well as, like I mentioned, the whole Giddey playing his forward teammates dynamic as well. It's going to be a really fun one. That's one to keep an eye on for. I think that's at like 7:30 Eastern in a couple of days here, so I'll have to get up early for it. But yeah, shout out to Australia. For Spain, it just wasn't really their game. Santi Aldama had 27 points, but beyond him, it was like Willy Hernan Gomez with 14 points, and then a lot of guys that weren't really putting the ball in the basket. Not much from Rudy Fernandez, who of course is a veteran for that team. Alex Abrinas, shout out to another Thunder legend out there with 6 points. But yeah, just not enough against Australia, who is a powerhouse. Then we've got France versus Brazil, and Victor Wembanyama in his first Olympic game went insane. 19 points for him. He got 9 rebounds out there as well. He had 4 steals, 3 blocks, a couple of dimes. A monster. I mean, he was making everybody on Brazil look like they were kindergartners. There's this one picture of him shooting over Gui Santos, who is like 6'6", and he looks like he's 5 years old playing against Wemby. He had one possession where he kept tipping the ball up to himself over and over, and nobody was tall enough to get it away from him. He's hitting threes, he's hitting pull-up jumpers, diming guys up, being a monster defensively. I mean, I don't know what else to say about Victor Wembanyama. The year 2 breakout is going to be otherworldly from him, especially now that he's got Chris Paul. I need to drop a whole video talking about how excited I am to watch Wemby in year 2 with CP3 and that Spurs squad, because they're going to be one of the best League Pass teams to watch, although they're probably going to be very nationally televised because they do have Wemby. But yeah, he was absurd in this game. Nick Batum had 19 points, 3 of 9 from deep. Nick Batum is just ageless. He seems to continue to play at a high level, even though he's almost 40. Rudy Gobert, 7 points with 3 rebounds, of course, playing high-level defense, blocking a couple of shots. That's the strength for France. The guard position is extremely weak for them. It's like Frank Ntilikina, it's Evan Fournier. That's kind of it. Like at the big man position, of course, they've got Wemby, they've got Rudy. Also in that front court, they've got Nick Batum. This is a team that's going to have to lean on that strength if they want to find success here in the Olympics. And I mean, hey, with how Wemby's looking, that's probably a good strategy. For Brazil, just couldn't get much going against this stout France defense. You had 14 points from Cristiano Felicio, Marcelo Huertas with 11 points. Bruno Caboclo didn't score, so that's unfortunate. But yeah, they needed this win. This was a tough one to go ahead and lose. They can definitely still come out of this group because I believe it's the best record in every single group, and then the next like 2 or 3 best records if I remember the Olympic format correctly. So I think they've still got a chance, but yeah, this was a tough loss. And then finally we had Germany beating Japan. This was the biggest blowout of the day, 97-77 for Germany. Of course, they're the reigning World Cup champions. This is a great team. You've got Dennis Schroeder, who I believe, if I saw the stat correctly, set the record for most assists in a game for a German player. He had 12 with 13 points. International play, Dennis Schroeder is different. 15 for Mo Wagner, 18 on perfect scoring for Daniel Tice, 7 of 7 from the field, 2 of 2 from deep, 2 of 2 from the line. He literally could not miss. 22 from Franz Wagner, really hoping for the breakout from him coming into this upcoming season. 11 points for Isak Bonga. This Germany team is really, really good. Like, if there are teams that could theoretically threaten the US, it's like Canada, it's Germany, it's Australia, Serbia, who the US does play tomorrow. I'm really excited about that game. They've, of course, got Nikola Jovic. They've got Bogdan Bogdanovic. That's a great team. Vasile Micic. Gonna hopefully cover that game if it's close. If it's a blowout, might not talk about it too much, but I guess we'll see how it goes. But yeah, Germany is terrifying. For Japan, they got 20 points from Rui Hachimura, although just 4 of 19 shooting, 16 from Yuta Watanabe with 4 threes, 13 from Josh Hawkinson. Like, they got some good scoring performances. It's just that Germany is truly a juggernaut. There's a reason they're the World Cup champions. And yeah, that's your quick recap of the first 4 games of men's Olympic hoops. if you're only tuning into like the Team USA games, like you're not paying attention to it overall, I highly recommend you watch these games. It was a lot of fun. It's rare that you get to see like Shai play against Giannis on this big of a stage. And you see Victor Wembanyama making a name for himself. Young guys like a Josh Giddey, for example, trying to kind of put together a breakout. RJ Barrett was amazing for Team Canada, like I said, or I think I said he led them in scoring with 23 points. He was really good. Like, it's really fun. So definitely recommend checking out as much Olympic hoops as you can. I know some of the games are at like 5 in the morning, so it's tough. But like tomorrow, like I mentioned, USA plays Serbia, as well as I think South Sudan plays Puerto Rico. Yeah, they play each other at like 5 a.m. here on the East Coast, 11:15 a.m. Eastern for Serbia versus the US. But definitely make sure to check out Olympic hoops if you've got the time, and I'll try to cover as much of it as I can throughout the process. So for right now, let me know who you think had the best game, who most impressed you in day one of the Olympics. Who's your favorite right now outside of the U.S.? Because obviously they're the favorites, but if you had to pick somebody other than U.S. to upset them and end up winning the gold, who would it be? Who are you most excited to see? What potential matchups are you most excited for? And leave a like and subscribe if you enjoyed. Appreciate y'all watching. I will see you all later. Real one, say it back.